Let's just have a quick little peek and make sure that we're live. And there we are. Wonderful. Alrighty. Then, without further ado, let's get started. Hello one and all, welcome to Building Worlds. This is the stream where me, your host, Joshua MacGregor, just opens up a writing session where I do some world building, and you're also here if you would like to be, and if you would like to dip in, or you're watching after the fact. Whatever the case may be, welcome. And know that the premise of this, it's very much that this is something that I would be doing anyway in my own time. This just gives me a structure, a place, a time frame in which to do this work. And additionally, it gives, hopefully, viewers the chance not only to receive advice from YouTube and from whatever sources you've got, but to see somebody actually doing their process, to see an example of somebody doing their work. This is not meant to be didactic. This is my way of doing things, and I'm sure that there are far better ways of doing it. This is my way, and I have a lot of fun, and hopefully you all will as well. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started on Sekahashis. So the last two streams that I did were pre-Christmas, and they were based on a world called Rayara, which was a water world, with sort of dotted archipelagos and what have you. This is a very different sort of idea, but it's another world that's been in my head for a long time, and it's one that I can't wait to start to flesh out. Sekahashis is a world of sand and ice. The world is divided between day side and night side, because of course this is a world that does not spin. This has one side that is constantly facing the sun, and one that is constantly facing the blackness, the void of space. And what that means is that there is a temperate meridian line, which is called the Ring of Life, as can be seen here. And it is a temperate zone that lies between this extreme cold of night and this extreme scorching heat of day. And everybody is trying to, all life on this planet, in order to survive, in order to get life-saving water, and you know, good, pure water and food, etc., is trying to get to this temperate zone, and is competing with one another to get to this temperate zone. So wildlife here is incredibly dangerous and deadly, and designed for combat. And therefore intelligent life, which does not have as many natural resources at their disposal, have to be extraordinarily intelligent and brave, and probably die a lot, if we're being honest. But that's all stuff that we get to dive into here. Hello, Crenticle! Oh, how wonderful to see you, my dear friend. How are you? Welcome. Let's talk about Sekahashis. I'm super excited about this. So obviously we've got sort of our key concept of the world down. I also took the liberty of before this stream figuring out some of the timeline stuff and reorganizing the way that I was presenting that, because I didn't like the way I was presenting it before. And now what we've got are like headers with time frames sort of in there, and all of the Esmeran stuff, as well as the Sekahashin stuff mixed in to give you sort of like an idea of their history. So we've got sort of like question mark to 4000 are the times before the Empire made contact. We have a lot of stuff that we can fill in here, actually. We have a lot, there's a lot of history that we can fill in this slot here. But we have a pretty solid idea, at least from the Ismaran side, of what happened from sort of 4000, the equivalent of our BCEs, called the Age of the Ismaran Empire, through to the fall of the Ismarans and the beginning of post-war time signifier, through to the current moment, present day, which is the year 700 post-war. For those of you who are not aware, Sekahashis is a world that exists in the context of a wider galaxy called Ignaculus, which is in tandem with many worlds, including Rayara from the previous stream. All of these are going to be connected because that's fun for me. I enjoy that. And Esmera as well. And Esmera was a planet of extraordinarily powerful beings called who called themselves gods, and were known to be gods. And they had an empire, and it lasted for around 4,000 years, which is not actually that much time. But they were growing exponentially in power with every generation, and they had to be killed. So that happened. Kieran, doing wonderful yourself? Good! Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Hope your Christmas was wonderful. I ate good food and I slept. It was perfect. That's amazing to hear. Yeah, mine was perfect as well. Sekahashis is so cool. This is a planet that is so cool. And we're gonna get into it. The first thing we get to do, because this is my process, is we're gonna do a world map. We're just gonna do a full world map. It's gonna be great. And I've been so excited. I've been picturing this moment in my head for a long time. We've got a blank new map. You ready for this? Ready? Boop. No water. Except for the water that we're gonna put there, but but yeah, that's kind of like a fun little thing for me. It's like, on one side, obviously it's gonna be like more frozen, on one side it's gonna be more desert-y, but the idea being that there's very little water on this planet and that everybody's vying for that resource is a lot of fun for me. So we're gonna put a temperate zone, a line right in the middle there. And plunk, wouldn't you know it? Now, the implication of the map is that the land continues, towards the, I guess, the frontmost and backmost ends of the planet, the polar opposite ends of the planet. Howdy, partner. Lovely to see you here. But that these are the only regions that are even remotely inhabitable. On either side here, on either side of this sort of like meridian line that divides the world. So if we were looking at this on a globe, this would really be, no, actually, I think this would probably work, interestingly enough. It would be sort of the left-hand side where, we're looking at would be sort of like closer to day, like to the sun, would be constantly facing the sun, and the right-hand side would be facing the void of space. Sort of an arbitrary decision that's how it went, but that's what it is. Texture. Let's do a little snow. Let's make it big, and let's make this frozen all the way up to, I want to say around, yeah, let's make it frozen up to around there-ish. A little bit more down here. Boop, boop. Nice. With just a tint on these little areas there. And, that's this dividing line being that rigid is making me annoyed. There we go. And then, let's see, there's another one that we can use for more desert-y, sort of. Yeah, sort of like that. Ooh. Oh, the textures on Incarnate are actually fantastic. I've been doing my own, like, longhand maps for a long time now. I quite like Incarnate now that I've used it. I think it's pretty good. Great. So now we have the beginnings of our map, which is super fun. And now we can talk. Let's talk a little bit about what kind of people we're gonna find here, or let's go over to regions. So obviously, with our sort of our regions section, we're gonna have. Let's go ahead and make these. Boom. We've got everything. Everything under Dayside, which is 1/2 of the planet. And we're gonna have everything under Nightside. And that divide is obviously the most important one, but we've also got like maybe what I'm thinking of is more in like the core concepts and conflicts. Competition for survival is the main conflict of Sekahashis. So that conflict drives like the degree to which that conflict is played out on a daily basis should be expanded on. Monsters abound. Each an evolutionary perfection in one way or another. The creatures on this planet are some of the deadliest in the galaxy, foiling even the new magics and technologies introduced by interstellar what am I gonna say? Communication? Trade? Trade. Interstellar trade. Huzzah! Huzzah! So that real idea that this world is so, like, I have a real idea in my head about Dayside being very similar to sort of Arrakis on Dune, insofar as the natural phenomenon of the planet and the natural creatures that exist on the planet are a problem for even the most advanced of technologies. So even though Sekahashis is part of a wider community now with these other worlds, with the Anaran Assembly, that has not changed life on this planet in any significant way. So that's kind of the idea. So immediately we can start to get into monsters. When I look at this map and when I think we're going to expand on this map, we're going to change things, but like immediately the idea sort of that comes into my head is that there are creatures that are going to live in the water, that are going to feed on the monster, like the things that come to drink from the river. Actually, we do know what this temperate river is called. It's called the Ring of Life. And boom, we can put that right in the middle there. Then we can probably do Dayside. Oh dear. That's not what we wanted to do. Brr. And life does not equate to goodness on this planet. Nature is incredibly brutal. And the circle of life, the circle of carnage, is very much the prevalent conflict here. The night side of Sekahashis needs something like the Riddick Monsters. I don't know what Riddick Monsters are. I know of Riddick. I have never actually seen them. I'm gonna look those up in 1 second. Nice. There, that's set up. Mike! Hello! Welcome, Mike! It's so wonderful to see you. Hope you had a fantastic Christmas. And, yeah, so wonderful that you're here. Welcome! We're making a world! It's so much fun. Let's look up what Riddick Monsters are. Riddick Monsters. Oh, those are terrifying. What am I even... Ooh. Creatures of the Riddick-verse. Oh, okay, so you've got sort of like a dinosaur with a scorpion tail kind of deal. That's... Mud Demon? Is that what they're called? That's terrifying. And then you've got... Interesting. Sort of like eye-stalked hammerhead. Bioraptor. And then you've got like a big monster, a freaking demon monster thing. Yeah, all of those are very scary. I don't want to keep looking at them, actually. But we're going to put those in, for sure. Oh, good. Good. Glad to hear you got to see your family. That's wonderful. This is also actually going to be split up between day and night sides. We're going to say day side here. And we'll put that in bold and bigger, because size 12 font. Day side. So this is going to be divided day side, night side, and the Ring of Life itself. I get the feeling that there are water creatures that feed on the life on the shore, that there are creatures that are sort of like an in-between of those things that can defend their territory very well. Then there are creatures that exist more in the extreme climates on either side. And so let's get into... Oh, I didn't want to do that. Yeah. Let's get into... I want crocodiles. Crocodiles. I want giant ones. Let's be very clear. I want giant, scary crocodiles. Dayside, you gotta have giant worms. You gotta have sort of like Dune-esque sandworms. Because those are awesome. We've got to have giant scorpions. And I think we can include in here normal size as well. Because normal size scorpions are terrifying. What about snakes? What about lizards? We want to have... Let's do like monstrous vultures. That's a fun thing. I wanted to put vultures in there for all... there are a variety of reasons. I've got some lore, some mythology stuff in my head about vultures. Feeding on the carnage of life and nature, etc. I think it's a fun idea. What about... Oh, yes. So a long time ago, I wrote a story that kind of like dipped into the world of Sekahashis, which is where a lot of these like initial ideas are coming from, which is why I've been so excited to explore this place. And one creature I just wrote the name of and never actually figured out what it was called, or what rather the deal was a bloat mound. And I was like, what is a bloat mound? I don't know, but I want to have one on this world. And so yeah, bloat mounds are a thing. Don't know what they are yet, but we can figure that out together. And then we got Nightside, and let's start to figure out some like terrifying night creature monster shenanigans to get up to. So yeah, you guys know. So like yeah, so Riddick monsters. I think that the scorpion raptors should... Scorpion raptors, which just sounds so fun to say, should be more on day side than night side, but scorpion raptors for sure. And then you've got, what were they, like, hammerhead, raptors. I'm gonna call them blind hammerhead raptors, because those are terrifying. Let's go with what are good, like, ice monsters, you know? Like, Yeti is kind of like the classic go-to, and bears, etc. But, like, if it's pitch black, I'm thinking, like, there's a monster in Monster Hunter of all games. I played some of the 3DS Monster Hunter games, and there's a monster. It's kind of like a lamprey dragon. They are blind, and the Riddick Monsters are blind. Hunt excellently in the dark. That is awesome, and we're definitely we're definitely doing that. Yeah, there's this, like, Monster Hunter lamprey. Yeah, this thing. Whatever the hell this thing is. I hate it. I absolutely hate this thing. Monster hard to try. Monster's real and fantastic. Giganox. That's what it's called. The baleful Giganox. Yeah, and it's disgusting, and it doesn't have eyes, and it's got sort of like a weird scream thing that it can do, and it crawls on the ceiling, and I hate it. So I want lamprey dragon. Lamprey monstrosity. It's not a dragon to exist. And yeah, I like that a lot of those that idea of creatures who are blind and use other senses to hunt in the night is a really, really fun idea. And, like, the more that we develop, what kind of creatures can exist in the dark and on the night side, in the cold, the more we will know about the culture of the people who live there. Because I think I know a lot more about the culture just off the top of my head of day side than night side. So this is really interesting and stuff. Ooh, I had ideas of that there is an enormous amount of night side that would be just locked in ice. Like, a lot of the water on the world is ice and is on night side, and just kind of got locked there. Like, there was no way for it once it traveled from day side over to the night side, there's no way for it to travel back. So those, like, glaciers, but with tunnels and caverns and holes bored through them, which gave me this idea. See, in Dungeons and Dragons, which is an inspiration that obviously I take from. Ooh, hello, Velixion. Very, very wonderful to have you here. Well, welcome. We're talking we're talking about purple worms at the moment and how they burrow through the ice. Yeah, so in Dungeons and Dragons there is this monster called a purple worm. Worm 5e. Let's quickly go on over here. And this doesn't have anything about them, which is kind of what here we go. Massive burrowing monster known as the purple worm terrorizes the creatures of the Underdarks that chew through solid rock in pursuit of prey. It's not purple worm I'm thinking of. It's a frost worm, which is an Exandrian thing. Anyway, the idea in my head is that there's a creature that exudes such incredible heat that it can burrow through ice. So an extraordinarily hot creature. And then I'm like, well, we've already got giant sandworms. What if the giant sandworms on this world, making them a little bit more distinct, are the only things that travel between day and night side, and they go and they roam in the desert and accrue a great deal of heat. Maybe there's something in the deep desert closest to the sun that they feed on, or that that is useful to them in some capacity. And then they go and they vent that heat in the night side. Maybe it's for their children. Oh, that's such an interesting idea. So, the worms travel through night side ice, creating caverns and tunnels in which all other life resides. So, yeah, let's, giant worms, they're not sandworms. Let's do a little bio on these worms. They reproduce in the dark, cold, and dark of night side. The parents journey to day side to collect, I want to say, heat slash superheated sand and rock, and then travel back to deposit these with their young, along with food, I guess. Maybe they just reproduce so hard the friction melts the ice. You know, there's I that makes me laugh, but there is something to that. I think that there is a natural terror that Nightsiders should have of the passing of worms, and then the mating season for the worms should be like this terrifying thing where worms are traveling towards one another through the ice, and they can crash through people's homes and create sort of like tremors in the ice and shake loose creatures who might be sleeping that might otherwise not hurt them, might be woken up by the worms mating. Why the hell not? So let's write that down. Worms traveling to one another and reproducing is incredibly dangerous for other forms of life on Nightside. Residences can be destroyed in an instant, and creatures that might have otherwise been slumbering are awoken and become pissed off. So that's a full idea right there. So I like these ideas of the worms that travel between day and night side. I like that a lot. So we've got the worms. Scorpion raptors is one of my favorite things that's ever happened. Bloat Mounds. Ooh, I'm getting a lot of like inspiration from Monster Hunter at the moment. would be sort of like there's this like creature that just like swallows its prey whole, but I have this idea of also like combining that with a sort of like an antlion sort of idea. So bloat mounds are enormous creatures that hoard water in their bodies, making them bloated, or appear bloated, and lie in wait under the sand. They swallow their prey whole and digest them, absorbing all their water. So especially on day side, but also on night side, the hunt for water is a big deal. So bloat mounds can actually exist further out in the desert because they get their water from other beings. They do not need to go near the ring of life. What do we got? Common prank. Replace the milkman left at the door that morning with worm milk. Velixion, you have a particularly dirty mind, and I love it. Please keep putting stuff in the chat as it comes to you. I don't think I'm gonna write it down in the document, but it's in my head and in yours. That's amazing. So yeah, this process is a little bit different from Rayara because the concept is different. So we're not starting so much with the races that live here because they are not like the most dominant beings that live on the planet. Instead, we are beginning with the monstrosities and the dangers, the natural dangers that exist on this world. And let's actually talk about, you know, the natural dangers of dayside include sandstorms, because yeah, classics. But like, let's talk let's talk quicksand. Let's do quicksand. In Dune, they've got drum sand, which can alert monsters to your presence. Dangers of the desert. Obviously, the scorching sun, which would only really become bearable as you leave dayside towards the temperate zone. We'll think of more, but that's kind of the idea. Natural dangers of night side include, I mean, if you're on the surface, it's going to include ice storms. It's going to include cave-ins, right? Because if people are living underground, ice storms above. The freezing temperature, etc. Alexion. Monstrosity. Mummy moss. Slowly decays flesh, easily removed by a gentle shower, but attempts to remove result in... Oh, mummy moss is terrifying. We're putting it with the monsters, and we're gonna put it... Yeah, we're gonna put it on dayside. Mummy moss. Thank you for these ideas. Yeah, I got the ideas. Like, easy with water, and then very difficult with like brute force. Fascinating idea. Mummy moss. Attaches to the skin and slowly decays the flesh. Easily removed by pouring water moss, but attempts to pull it off by force, tears the skin away. Moss. Truly terrifying. What a fantastic idea. And yeah, let's talk more about the flora side of things, because we've got some fauna, we've got some megafauna kind of stuff going on. Let's talk about flora. Let's talk. I think there's got to be like a sacred cactus. I think we've seen too many things where cactuses are hallucinogens. Not to have like the sacred cacti. Provide nourishment to natives of the world, but is one of the most potent natural hallucinogens to outsiders. Deadly Oasis. That's an interesting idea. What does a deadly oasis look like in your mind, Kieran? The spikes, what are they called? The thorns? The thorns / needles are so sharp and thin that they can easily slip all the way through a person's body with little resistance. Used in weaponry. Sacred cactus. Myth says its needles were the first sewing tool. I don't think that needs to be like myth. I think that can be like a current thing, because what we're looking at a world where technology is maybe helpful but does not tip the balance a huge amount. So these needles, I think they can be used for all kinds of things. Yeah, used in weaponry, i.e. for darts, and as needles for sewing, etc. I think that's a great idea. We've got cacti. I know that there are like bushes and things that grow in the desert, and trees that need less water. Also creatures that can store water. Floral fauna that survives by consuming trapped prey on the scale of inhabitants to planet. Interesting. Looks like a literal oasis on the sandy dunes. I like that idea. So, floral fauna. So yeah, sort of like part plant, part animal kind of thing, like or like a Venus flytrap kind of plant, where let's call it an oasis. They call it the Oasis bush. I don't know. Let's call it the Oasis bush for a second. Plants which make themselves look like an oasis in the desert to lure in prey and then eat them. Ha 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 ha. I like that. I'm gonna switch my attention over to Nightside just because it's not got as much stuff on it. And let's do the thing. We've got our blind hammerhead raptors, lamprey monstrosity. We've got the worms. What can we get in here? Because things need... Ooh, we could do... Yeah, partial predator, partial symbiote. That's kind of a fun idea. Yeah. And I think that parasitism probably would be a big deal in this world as well. Actually, yeah, let's do flora, which siphons heat from its victims. Ooh, thorny growths, which hook and trap prey in place, draining / drinking shed blood and siphoning heat. That's a fun idea. What are we gonna call that? We can call that a sun drinker. That's kind of fun. Yeah, yeah. Mummy Moss is absolutely a parasite. Just thinking of like that as a theme going on. You could have these creatures that stay almost like totally still and can only really move when a heat is applied to them. So almost like beings that are like trapped but immortal while they are like frozen and immobile in this place. And then when they heat up, when something warm passes them, they have enough energy to move again. So I'm thinking something like a reptilian monster which stays totally immobile while the temperature is freezing, does not need to eat or age up to a certain point. But when exposed to heat, typically in the presence of prey, they spring into action and feast. It's like a prolonged hibernation cycle for this reptilian monster. I'm going to say that camouflages in with the ice. So, silver white scales that extend in spikes from its body, making them look like stalag. Oh, I always get this wrong, but I think mites are the ones from the ground. Stalagmites. Yes! Yes, rises from the floor. I am correct. That is fun for me to be So we've got a lot of this sort of a theme going of creatures being drawn to heat as their way of living. Like, because heat is everything. Heat allows you to drink water from ice, for example. Heat allows your body to move. So heat is a big deal. Even as, I would say, maybe even so far as, while water is the most valued resource on dayside, heat is the most valued resource on night side. Without heat, they cannot create water. Now, fire would be a double-edged sword for the people of Nightside, one would think, because fire is a way to fight enemies that otherwise intelligent life is not equipped to fight. Pardon me. On the other hand, fire is heat, and heat draws monsters in the dark. So we'll have to think about that. We'll have to think about that. Travel. On the giant worms have a way to travel between the two sides. Otherwise, even for aircraft, travel within the atmosphere is extremely dangerous. Right, let's get sky creatures. Let's just get some sky creatures in here. Because we've got the ground and we've got the caves sort of beginning to be covered. Plant life. What kind of plants do grow in tundras? Actually. Low to ground vegetation contains small shrubs, grasses, mosses, sedges, and lichens. So that moss, mummy moss, can also be found on Nightside, for sure. They can grow under a layer of snow. So I think that we're looking at sort of like two biomes on Nightside. We're looking at monsters, regions. There's the temperate zone, then there is a zone of land. The tundra, very cold, frequent snowfall, shrubs and mosses are main floral forms of life. And then we've got the deep night. Totally frozen, glacial ice extending to high elevations. Oh, so they would be able to go actually under earth as well. That's kind of interesting. The roots of some of these shrubs, maybe the shrubs in the tundra. Ooh, here we go. So this is kind of fun. Shrubs in the tundra area are harmless and provide... Oh, no. They'd be harmful. And... dangerous. But their roots... which can extend into caves carved by the worms. Are a mainstay source of nutrients for the people. That's kind of an interesting idea. Ooh, so we've got night side and day side, but we want to have, there are sort of like regions as well. So we've got, this almost actually would be better having it the other way, wouldn't it? Is there a way to transform this? Map. Save. Sekahashis. World map. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay, so it's possible to rotate that, but what about the whole thing? Select all. I don't think there is a way of doing exactly what I want. Okay. That's fine. We will make do with what we've got. So this is tundra. And, oopsie-daisy. Let's do... Why can't I select it anymore? Select text. There we go. Where do we want that to be? The cool desert? The shallow desert? Yeah, shallow desert, because then there can be the deep desert and deep night. Deep desert. So let's put that up there. What did I make that? Let's make that 50. Let's make that 50 as well and put it up there. Here we go. How does it tundra? Wunderbar. Ooh, actually, we can't. Rotating is a good thing. We figured out. Oh, wow, that's an important thing to be able to do. We want to rotate it that way, though. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a little more. There we go. And we can call that the Ring of Life and put it right there. Boom! That is fun. Oh, we've got to put Sekahashis on here as well. Let's do that. I'm fiddling around just a little bit. I want... And there's that that fun little symbol thingy. What do we... There. Oh, no, not that. That's interesting. Blend mode, normal, darken, color burn, overlay. Yeah, that's more what we're looking for. Overlay. Let's just put it us there. Shadow. Yeah, there we go. So that feels like fun. Okay. We've got our set up here. We've got some of the monstrosities. We did forget to make some monsters for not only the day side and the night side, but the Ring of Life itself. Now, only the most dangerous of monsters can claim the center and continue to survive. While we think on that, we want vultures. What do we want? We want wyverns, other aerial creatures, especially on night side. Like a dark rainfall is what I'm thinking of, like cloud lurkers. That's an idea. Wyverns that hold themselves in the sky, seeing through the cloud cover and dropping all together in a swarm on prey on the surface like a black rain. That's an idea. Giant bat monsters, like a Noivern kind of thing. Ooh, Velixion! The ideas keep coming. I love it. The worms you mentioned earlier lay their eggs in the dirt. If eaten, they continue their natural life cycle, growing in the eyes of mammals. That's a terrifying idea. I really like where that's going, but you have to tell me about Marshmallow Moths. I will hear you out. Keep going. Keep going. Marshmallow Moths. What the heck is that? Yes, if their eggs are eaten, the children are often not killed in the process. They continue to grow, eating the creature from the inside out. Often killing them quickly by exiting through their eyes. This is a terrifying world, and these are terrifying monsters. And it's exactly the vibe that I want. I want people to be terrified of everything here. Because that's the idea. That's the idea. The only truly aquatic creatures I want to be almost unkillable. Almost unkillable aquatic creatures. What kinds of things am I thinking of? Yeah, I mean, like, Kraken-esque type stuff is interesting. Things that can lurk and then drag things into the water. So, like, crocodiles are a good example. Hippopotamuses! Oh my goodness. I'm thinking hippos with natural armor, like a... What's that dinosaur? Dinosaur with a club tail. What is that one? An ankylosaurus. An ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus. Yes, I love that kind of creature. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Sure. Remember, like an ankylosaurus. Hippos are totally terrifying to me. Not just to me, they're just terrifying in general. They are several hundred pounds. They live in the water. They're totally angry all the time. And they open their mouths and consume things. And they destroy the undersides of boats. Hippos are some of the craziest animals that have ever been. And I am glad I am far from them all the time. Marshmallow Moths. Here we go. They're sticky and high in protein. They actually hate the light because they're smart enough to associate it with campfires. They pair well with chocolate crickets and grizzly grams. I have heard you out, and I'm so glad that I did, Velixion. This is incredible. Marshmallow Moths. We're putting them in. We're putting them in. Marshmallow Moths. High in protein, smart enough to avoid light because they associate it with danger of campfires. Should be the danger of campfires. I'm not gonna put that they pair well with... Because chocolate for sure doesn't grow on this planet. But I think we can say that Outworlders have discovered that this delicacy pairs well with chocolate and graham. What a gag! That's incredible. And Gift is back! Hello, Gabby! Welcome, welcome. You are a welcome, joyful sight. So, we've got Kieran. That's a very good idea with the parasites. What about creatures that have not managed to evolve a way to survive the climates, but like mayflies, or there's a certain wasp that just live to put their eggs inside the warmest or coldest thing. I love that idea. Yes, 100%. We're doing killer wasps, and we're gonna keep on the heat train for the things that live in the cold, because of course we can do magical animals that like cold more than they like heat, that seek out cold more than they seek out heat. But I think it's kind of fun to have our weird fantasy monstrosities follow at least some rules of like living things that exist on our world, just as a baseline, and then we can go totally crazy. So that's such a good idea. Killer wasps that live to lay their eggs in the warmest thing they can find, living or dead. That's terrifying. And so you've got these killer heat-seeking wasps, that just are like seeking a place to lay their eggs, and then you've got like people who like living with that's horror. Oh no, it's absolutely horrible. No. Don't want to think about living people, but you can see like corpses that feel like, oh, those are bloated and have like stingers on them, and maybe don't go near them because the killer wasps are going to come out of that body, etc. Yeah. Even the living ones will reside inside the corpses of the beings that provided the warmth necessary for their birth. Madness. Nails. They look like building nails, but are made of keratin. Their natural predator is the hammerhead hippo. I need a super quick reminder of what keratin actually is. Kind of protein that makes up your hair. Yeah, okay, 100%. What? They look like building nails, but they're made of keratin. That's so funny. That is so funny, and absolutely not. I'm gonna give a hard pass to that idea, even though I adore that idea. Yes, it makes up your fingernails and your hair. Yeah, 100%. Whoa, wild, absolutely wild. We can say, oh, but that is an interesting idea, though. Like, what if there's a creature that, like there are creatures that find their like shells to make up their homes and what have you, like the hermit crabs. What if there are creatures that incorporate natural elements of the world into their ferocious design? So there are creatures like, on Dayside, we can say that there are the scorpion raptors. Can have maybe. I mean, they have a scorpion tail. That's kind of terrifying. But we're thinking of a monster that purposefully embeds needles from the sacred cacti into their hands / on the ends of their fingers. Let me see if you can tell where I'm going with this. They use those needles to hunt prey, and when they grow dull, they rip them out and have to find new ones to use. And this creates a cycle, because when they rip them out, they bleed. So, when they rip them out, they bleed slightly, and smaller animals follow them around, waiting for their chance to drink any fallen drops. And that's sort of a similar idea to like the birds that flock onto like hippopotamuses and like worry at their skin and drink blood from their backs and what have you. hip hermit crabs. They use their prey's hip bones as a shell. No! Ah, it's too terrifying. They speak they speak exclusively in outdated slang. That is, hip hermit crabs are incredible. That is an amazing idea. Um, I I do like the idea of something using bones of something bigger than itself, as a defense, perhaps. But we're exclusively an outdated slang. That is not getting in here because it's tonally dissonant from what we're doing, but it's amazing, and I want you to know that I appreciated that. The Courier's Agency. Hello, the Courier's Agency. Welcome to the chat. Maybe some kind of crab that buries itself in the sand, and when it's stepped on, it grabs onto the life of its prey. Yes, absolutely. That's a fantastic idea. We have sort of like monstrous iterations on that idea in sort of like the Bloat Mound, which is kind of like this weird, like, horrible bloated thing that lives under the sand and waits and then like swallows its prey whole. But like, yeah, things that like are closer to the on the Ring of Life, we can actually, yeah, why not have crabs that hide under maybe like wet sand as an idea. And we're going to call them giant crabs. We're going to call them, like, monstrous crabs that hide under wet sand. And when stepped on, grab onto the legs of their prey. I like that a lot. I think that's a really good idea, because that's starting to get into, yeah, the life in the ring, like that exists around the Ring of Life. So we're gonna include giant crocodiles in that feast on the creatures that come to the edge of the water in order to drink. So that's a fantastic idea. Thank you so much, Courier's Agency. Keep the ideas flowing. Giant crocodiles. Oh, we want giant water snakes for sure. Because water snakes are terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. Ooh, giant eels. And maybe lamprey monsters deserve to be in this category as well. Because we are talking, like, here's our world map again. The Ring of Life is like the width of a narrow ocean, right? This is, you know, one portion of the world map. Actually, let's take a little. Let's go back to our baseline water, and go into subtracting space. Let's go into the 40s. Roughness, a little smoother, and let's create some unevenness on this map, because that's a fun way, for me anyway, to begin to give other ideas. So you've got like this Ring of Life. There's sort of a central point here, but maybe like this area is a point where the water comes in a little bit more, right? So like an inlet. I think I had actually a little bit too much width on there. So yeah, like an inlet here. Yeah, that roughness that comes, and then subtract, go far as we can. We have little extensions out into the desert that happen, because coastlines are not even necessarily. Coastlines are not always even. So this is, yeah, we start to see the Ring of Life is more. Oh, we've got more ideas. This is amazing. Velixion. Anglerfish trees. They attract bugs with light to pollinate their flowers while also attracting prey to trap with their slow-moving vines. The creativity on display here is insane. I am so happy with these ideas. And, like, if you don't want these ideas to be incorporated and just want to be, like, throwing out fun stuff, please do. But, like, if I can just snatch them, that would be amazing. Yeah, let's 100% do that. Let's throw those onto Nightside Anglerfish Trees. Should they be on Nightside? Yeah, let's throw them on Nightside. They attract... bugs. Bugs to pollinate their flowers using light, while also attracting prey, which they capture with their slow-moving vines. Ba-ba-bum. The Courier's Agency make fishes that breed rapidly and feed off plankton, but their numbers are kept in balance by all those giant snakes and eels and things. Yeah, because you gotta have a food source for sure. So that's another sort of aspect of this world, which is we're gonna be talking a little bit more about is breeding specifically. Is that creatures that are not the top of this insane food chain would need to breed an in excess, an incredible amount of eating and food. So yes, we're talking fishes that breed excessively quickly in order to keep up with the predators that feed on them. And yeah, this is 100% for sure. Courier's Agency. Yeah, fantastic. Please, yeah, so you're thinking about how the ecosystem can make sense. Maybe design some flora fauna as prey-type animals as well, but haven't been around, so maybe you already have some. The idea for this is very much sort of... yes, bigger animals would have longer gestation periods, for sure. We're creating a world that is incredibly dangerous and deadly, and we're like thinking of all these different ways that life would survive here in this like insanely competitive ecosystem where most, if not all, of the water exists sort of in this temperate zone in the center of this world, and then it goes to sort of a day side and then a night side on the other side. So there's no the world does not spin, which means there's a fantastical idea in my head, which is not based in natural biology in any way, which is that everything kind of eats everything else, like whatever they can get away away with eating, if that makes sense. And sort of like things will they're scavenger beasts that will tear apart the corpses of things that have been already killed and eaten by other predators, but there are a huge number of large predators that will want to fight. Predators also of a similar size than we are used to, so I'm putting in the giant versions, but also like normal versions, as in there'll be giant scorpions, but there'll be normal-sized scorpions. There'll be giant crocodiles and normal-sized crocodiles. And like everything is always eating one another and competing for life. And so there is an idea that even the predators are or have the potential to be prey to something else if they lose in a fight. So there is no absolute apex besides maybe the giant worms, but even they are eaten at a certain point. And so the idea is that everything has a shorter gestation period and will maybe breed in larger numbers than it otherwise would in a more classical biome. Lexion is so funny. I love that. David, all of them are scavengers, or are all of them generalists? Not all of them are scavengers. I think there are scavengers are prevalent in the totality of this world's biosphere, and I think almost everything would be omnivorous or carnivorous. Yes, including like plants would be drinking a lot of. The plant. There's a lot of plant life that could exist around the Ring of Life, and a lot of plant life that could exist in the water, for example. But as the climate becomes harsher and harsher on either side, the plants become more and more predatory, even to other, sort of animal forms of life as well, going in those directions. The giant animals and more protection for their babies, so maybe tougher shells like turtles for giant alligator younglings. Many eggs or toxic outer shell. Ooh, yes, toxic outer shell is actually a really interesting idea, because many eggs is something that obviously I'm more familiar with, but toxic outer shells is not something that I've come across quite as much as that. So, yeah, 100%. With additional armor plating or shells. Monsters. Let's just do a little blurb, shall we? Monsters and animals on Sekahashis tend to lay eggs in large quantities and with incredibly tough shells to ensure the next generation survives. We've talked about creatures laying eggs in other creatures, which is definitely a sort of an idea. Many eggs. Eggs have toxic outer shells, or the gestating animals produce toxins until they are born, which cause animals that eat them to become severely sick and or die from doing so. That's an idea. Either way, giant animals would need to adapt, have more protection against omnivores because their gestation periods would be a lot longer. You feel like your character would have a heyday in this setting. Tell me about your character, Courier's Agency. What kind of character are they, and why would they enjoy this setting so much? That's fascinating. And yes, I think a lot of things would have to be omnivorous, just be able to eat anything and everything on this world. But yeah. Oh, and we know that a lot of fishes are scavengers, feasting on the corpses of creatures. Ba-doo. Yeah, and so yeah, and we're talking about not just like classic giant versions of creatures, but we are like very much in that sense of like this was sort of the example that happened sort of before you arrived was hippopotamuses that also have like armor plating like an ankylosaurus, which is the one with the clubbed tail and the spikes going out of his back. So, yeah, so there are definitely there's that sense of life here evolving to survive, and those are the specific ways, like you're mentioning specific ways that they would do that, where I was being like very general. It's like, oh yeah, there are different ways that animals and things would do that, and you're like, oh yeah, but like predators would need protection against omnivores. Like 100% that's true. Yeah, predators need more protection for omnivores as their gestation periods are longer. And we already we addressed one version of that idea with these giant worms, which was that, where did they go? Giant worms. Oh, that's on Dayside. Giant worms, if their eggs are eaten, the children are often not killed in the process. They continue to grow, eating the children, or the creature that ate the eggs from the inside out, often killing them quickly by exiting through their eyes. So that's a constant like deterrent from eating eggs, as well as that the creatures might just like live inside you and eat you. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Ever seen a horse eat a baby chicken? It's traumatizing. That sounds traumatizing, Velixion. I choose not to watch that. I choose to remain ignorant in that way. But thank you for telling me that that exists. I never want to see that in my life, ever. Aphids are born pregnant. Hear me out. Aphids. Remind me what an aphid is. Small sap-sucking insects. I remember the super friendly. Ah, great. Nightmare fuel. I remember those. Yep, 100%. Aphids are born pregnant. Baby blasting baboons. What? With a hypermetabolism, since they're always prego. I don't think things are going to be born pregnant, but that's an interesting idea. Baboons. It's an idea for sure. Let's say, you know, let's say baboons. But yeah, aphids that carry aphids that carry diseases. And I think that the water is home to a myriad of insect life. I think the air is like thick with insects, which means we've got to have a froghemoth. I know these are from Magic the Gathering. Froghemoth? Or are they from Froghemoth? Oh, they're from D&D. Yeah. Yeah, froghemoths. We're doing it. We want exactly what that thing is. We want it in here. Froghemoths. Yeah, but home to myriad insect life. The air is thick with them. They exist in such numbers that they can suck the blood from an unprotected animal in minutes. They are a major food source for other animals. That's an idea. Spy deer. I knew where you were going even before I read the rest of that message. An 8-legged deer looking thing that has an unnatural ability to stealth. I hate that idea. It's kind of perfect, and I love it. We're not calling it a spy deer. But yeah, maybe something nightside-y. 8-legged deer. Ooh. The idea, here's the thing. I'm gonna take your idea and modify it a little bit. Because there is definitely sort of in cultures that exist in the north, deer have a mythological place that they hold. And sort of the antlers and the monsters coming out of the night, kind of like, even like Leshens from The Witcher kind of idea, like Polish mythology. So I definitely think there's going to be like deer themed monstrosity. Yeah, in sort of like Nightside that has a supernatural ability to a supernatural ability to stealth. I think this is going to be one of those monsters that's terrifying because it's silent, because it's intelligent enough to avoid being detected. I think it's one of those things that's got to have like a terrifying sort of like deer face and antlers. Yeah. I think it's gonna have 8 legs for sure. I don't know that it's gonna be like a spider kind of thing, but that's a terrifying idea. How could we forget megafauna? Mooses. Haha, just mooses. We're just putting mooses on there. Well, it's an idea. Giant spiders also are always just terrifying. Giant spiders. It's just a terrifying thing. Hear me out. Give it the umbral sight ability of the Gloomstalker Ranger subclass. So for those who don't know, we're gonna go have a little peek at the Gloomstalker Ranger, and we're gonna double check the umbral sight ability because it's good. It's straight up good. Gloomstalker Conclave. Umbral sight. You gain dark vision from a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, it increases by 30 feet. You're adept at evading creatures that rely on dark vision. While in darkness, you are invisible to any creature that relies on dark vision to see you in that darkness. Oh, Velixion, you are... I like where your brain is at. I like where your head's at. A lot. And this is the thing. Like, maybe this is the stream where we... It's good. I like the way you think because I enjoy terrorizing my players and creating things that can kill them. So this is fun. Yeah. 100%. If we were designing stat blocks for all of these monsters that we were creating now, we absolutely would put that on there. Curry Sanchez, you're doing the backstory. That's fantastic. Yes, throw it in the chat. Do it. Because, yeah. creating monster stat blocks is something that I really enjoy doing. I'm not going... Should I do one? Should I do the weird 8-legged deer thing now? So... Okay, D&D, homebrew, enemies. What's the closest thing? Probably Rhaegar? Okay, so we're gonna say this is 8-legged deer. Brew. Boop. Actually, we can just copy, paste, 8-legged deer, medium monstrosity, neutral evil? We calling it evil? I don't know. So... we can have armor class, hit points, speed. We don't need proficiency. That's not a thing we care about. Saving throws, senses, languages, challenge rating. So these actions. Boop. Doop. Boop. It's not going to have legendary actions, but that's an idea. For another time. Boom. It's not going to have spellcasting. So, this is how I would go about making a stat block for a... yes, I should, Josh. Yeah, well, okay, we're doing it. You get what you asked for. I put all in enemies. Okay, Alberta, there's a reason. The reason was that I put all of the creatures that I had stat blocks for in the enemy folder, and when I created the abilities for Alwyn at level 30, I got all of your stats, and I got everything, and I laid it out in a way that I knew how to read it, and I would be more my enemy, or the enemies of my NPCs than the enemy of other people. That was the idea there. I had to say something. Courier's Agency. My character is a multiversal monster hunter, cursed to hunt and kill every monster in the entire multiverse. Courier's Agency. This is awesome. What a fantastic idea for a character. I have something to show you, actually. Going back to my homebrew. I have created a subclass. We are so far off track, but this is... we have to talk about this. I've created a subclass for the Hunter. That's a new patron. For the Warlock. Which is the Hunter Patron, which is basically a Warlock subclass that gives access to Druidic and Ranger-esque abilities, including an expanded list that includes Detect Poison and Disease, Speak with Animals, Locate Object, Pass Without Trace, Catnap, Speak with Plants, Death Ward, Locate Creature, Hold Monster, and Scrying. All things that would help you locate creatures in the wild, or just locate them in general, and like related to survival in some way. And really quickly, here's like the basic idea of this subclass, which is you get a version of the Hunter's Mark spell, which you can cast once for free, and it counts as a Warlock spell for you. And you can use a reaction when you've affected somebody with Hunter's Mark, with Harry the Quarry, as it's called here, to ignore resistances. You gain extra strength. Your Hunter's Mark grows more powerful insofar as you can protect yourself from things that come from that enemy. And then Master of the Hunt, the Hunter's Mark does not require concentration and lasts for 24 hours. And you can have advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. That was the idea of the hunter subclass, and it's an archetype that lives in my brain. It's like somebody who is in that natural cycle, but like adopts a hunter, especially in a spellcasting focus for that particular subclass. But that is such a fantastic character. I gotta catch up on the chat. Give me one sec. I could go with Plan B and name it Chernobyl Deer. That's an idea. I will write down Chernobyl Deer because I never thought to see those two words put together. But actually, no, that's just a Fallout-esque thing. That's normal for the Fallout universe. Now that I'm thinking about it, great name. One of the monsters he came across was a hive mind of animals whose nervous systems were controlled by a tree. That would use long, translucent slime to connect through the back of the neck and would trail behind them, and cutting it would get rid of them. You could do that, but underwater. What an insane... What a fantastic idea. A hive mind controlled by a tree. Well, let's go. Wait, gotta go back to the world. I gotta write this down. There's too much stuff happening. Let's. Okay. Whoa. One came across the hive mind of animals whose nervous systems were controlled. Controlled by a tree. Would use a long translucent slime to connect to the back of the neck and trail behind them. Long translucent... Can I do slime that connects to the back of the neck and trails behind... Goodness, this is them. What a fantastic idea. Cutting the tendril would get rid of them. Yeah, so I suppose it becomes the creatures connected severs the connection, and the animals and no longer function without the tree. What? Square brackets underwater. That is one of the craziest... That's so cool. That is such a cool thing. Kieran saved it. I don't even know what you're winking at with that. Like, what the specific thing is that you're... Why did you kill the gravedigger? Vilixion says. Suspected necromancer. I'm not a murder hobo. Starting to think you are. The character is also really good tool for helping players because he keeps a huge book of monsters he kills. So sometimes a page falls into the hordes of dragons and liches and stuff. I just realized my character pretty much has a multiversal monster manual. That was the very first thing that I thought when you said he keeps a list of all the monsters that he's hunted. That is such a cool idea to have sort of like a monster hunter version of like Volo, who goes around and creates a bestiary of all the things that he's fought, and this book contains like it's such insane knowledge that that it eventually makes its way into the hordes of creatures like liches and dragons. What a fantastic character! Does your character have a name, may I ask? You mean you didn't have the Encyclopedia Britannica as a kid? I did actually have the Encyclopedia Britannica as a kid. It was fun to read. Very, very, very funny. Okay, so I think we're getting to the end of our monsters section with such. This is insane. The response level has been awesome. So cool from everybody. Let's make our 8-legged deer creature. Let's make that. Let's make it like a stealthy boy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the umbral sight feature wholesale, and we're just gonna slap it right in the middle there. Balunk. And what we can do here is clear the formatting and then make it normal text, century 12. Oh no, some of it didn't get Balunk. Normal text, century 12. Text color black. There we go. So umbral sight. Ooh, ah. This creature. Yeah, let's start with while in darkness. This creature is invisible to any creature that relies on dark vision to see it in that darkness. And then the rest of this we can go ahead and thing. We'll call this umbral stealth as a name for an ability. Senses. Gonna have dark vision 90 feet. So that's terrifying. Do they have other forms of vision? Dark vision up to 90 feet. Ooh, interesting. Maybe these deer don't have dark vision. Maybe they have blind sense. Ooh, because there's somebody like, there's an idea of like the blindness of these animals. Velixion, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just to be chaotic evil, it also has to have fancy footwork from swashbucklers? What are you doing? Just those... Here we go. So, for those who don't know, there's a rogue subclass called the Swashbuckler. We're going to Swashbuckler. Fancy footwork. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you learn how to land a strike and then slip away without reprisal. During your turn, if you make a melee attack against a creature, that creature can't make opportunity attacks against you for the rest of your turn. We're putting just Umbral Stealth and Fancy Footwork as abilities on their own are going to make this creature worthy of remembrance. What are we gonna call this? Yeah, we can call this fancy. Why not call this Fancy Footwork, actually? Let's call Brand's Fancy Hoofwork. Just for fun, we're gonna call it that. During this creature's turn, because we haven't come up with a name for it yet, if it makes a melee attack against a creature, that creature can't make opportunities against it for the rest of its turn. Madness. You've created 8-legged fancy footwork. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. Is it chaotic evil? I think it is chaotic evil, isn't it? The 8-legged deer is the craziest thing. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna read the career agency thing. Your character has 2 names. Fantastic. One is his wife's name. He uses it as an homage. That's amazing. As though his dagger having her last words in Infernal wasn't enough. Brutal. His name is Aramil. Aramil, what a wonderful Aramil the Monster Hunter. That's fantastic. I am not going to write that down, actually. I'm going to erase that. Because that's your character, and it's not going to be included in this, because that's yours. But what a fantastic idea. Velixion, yeah, Velixion's creating an absolute monstrosity. Oh, another thing. Look up on Google 400-pound catfish. What am I gonna find if I do that? We're gonna do it. Whoa. What am I looking? What the hell? 400-pound catfish. What? Is that real? What the Mekong giant catfish is the official freshwater heavyweight champion of the world. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, a 9-foot-long individual caught in northern Thailand in 2005 weighed an astounding 646 pounds, making it the largest exclusively freshwater fish. We're gonna stop showing images of dead fish now, but wow. Wow is the wow. How to be mean to a new DM. Changeling swashbuckler gloom stalker. I disagree that that's mean for a new DM. I think that's just the player power gaming, and the DM will just be like, will just realize like, oh, this person can kill most things that I can throw at them. But I don't think that's mean for because the odds are so overwhelmingly stacked in the DM's favor anyway when it comes to encounter creation. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just for the players to be astoundingly well built in their characters. But yeah, Changeling Swashbuckler Gloomstalker is difficult to account for in that particular way. Yeah, fantastic. By all means, include him. Oh! Well, that's very kind. Aramil. Aramil, the multiversal monster hunter. That's a fantastic idea. Thank you very much. I will honor them as an NPC. A couple of them were old enough to have swallowed Nazis whole. Yeah, I just saw that as we were going on Google. I was like, has it swallowed Nazis? I'm like, what a crazy animal. What a crazy... God. It's on there. Giant catfish. Apparently they live for a long time. Oh, we shouldn't forget, I wanna put in dragon turtles because I always like putting in dragon turtles. They're fun. Got a couple of double tier badges and a couple, I think. Some things you need to know. Thank you so much for introducing me to the 400 to 600 pound giant catfish that ate Nazis. What a fantastic just thing. Written on his dagger in Infernal is the last words of his wife. One back. Beautiful. I'm going to write this down. I'm actually going to copy that out of the chat. We're going to go back over to Sekahashis. And if you're sure about using this character, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put them in the characters section. It's going to be the first person that's going to go in the character section. To Hell and Back is also in their wedding vows. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Arrow Mill, the multiversal monster hunter. He has his wife's last words. And why... it's a sizing thing. Fine. Remember the Walter. He has his wife's last words written on his dagger infernal. Infernal. To Hell and Back. A phrase which was also their wedding vows. And the reason he was cursed by all the gods in the first place, he genocided every being of hell? It was a long campaign! Whoa! Oh! What a great word to use in the past tense as a verb. He genocided. He genocided all the beings of hell and was cursed by the gods to hunt every monster in the multiverse. And now he's made his way into my campaign. Ooh, okay. He has lost a lot of power to the curse. That's interesting. So not as powerful as he once was. Owns a bestiary of all the creatures he has slain. Every once in a while, a page will fall out and make its way into the collections of liches or the hordes of dragons. Love that. Love it! Thank you. Thank you kindly, Courier's Agency. What a fantastic thing. It's mostly to nerf him for you because the guy killed everything in hell. Yeah, that makes a huge amount of sense. Yeah, that makes a great deal of sense. Actually, I'm probably, because I'm trying to, because I'm trying to make an internally consistent, universe here that does have, like, the Ismaran gods are like the main sort of like focus of a lot of the stories that are being told here, and they are gods that went to war with dragons and were basically wiped out around 700 years ago. It's the sort of the ongoing story that happens here. But the idea that there could be someone who did, like, committed a genocide and then was cursed by one of the Ismaran gods and is still alive and kicking, but like slowly degrading in power over time is a really interesting idea. They dethroned their own king for committing genocide on one planet as well. Sort of one of the backstory things that happened. So you take whatever spin you want on it. Fantastic. Well, I'll come back to this character, and have a wee little think on it. But the last piece of info, by the way, is that his wife was killed by a demon. Makes a huge amount of sense. yes, in revenge against the beings that killed his wife. He was cursed by the ghost hunter monster in the multiverse. Great. May I suggest a character I can make with just the PHP and basic, so you know it's not all broken. You can suggest whatever characters you want. I'll adjust everything so that they work in world. But yeah, absolutely, suggest a way. Whether based on the PHP or not is completely fine. I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to adjust this now. Aramil is the interstellar monster hunter. Dagger Infernal to hell and back, a phrase which also in their wedding vows. Genocided all the beings of let's say he genocided all the devils of one of the furnace worlds, which is it's a concept that I keep coming back to as like an equivalent to the hells. It's just like a collection of planets that exist in that cluster of crazy stars and supernovas that exists like closer to the center of a galaxy, and like crazy beings such as like devils and things it exist there, sort of like as the natural denizens of like real worlds kind of idea. Not that hells and stuff like don't exist for specific worlds. That's not what we're going for on Sekahashis specifically. But it is like there are definitely going to be mythologies where there are sort of like heavens and hells and all that kind of stuff, and those things do exist on several different worlds. We're just not getting into it quite. I'm just hearing weird squeaking. That's what I'm looking at. Genocide all the devils of one of the furnace worlds in revenge against the beast that killed his wife. This paralleled the genocide of Sarwyn by the King Soligar of the Esmerans. And the Esmerans cursed him to, well, would they have cursed him to an eternity of hunting? Maybe one of the and the Esmerans, specifically one of the let's say one specifically Arceon when he was young, a young Arceon cursed him to continue hunting for all of time. Now, he hunts every monster in the galaxy. He's lost a lot of power to the curse. And I think all of the rest of that works. Fantastic. What a great character. Cough Cough Mastermind Rogue is one of the best rogue subclasses. Cough Cough. I totally agree. Changeling Mastermind Rogue is my one of my all-time favorite character ideas ever. Secret societies are some of my favorite things to write ever. And masterminds make every game more interesting. And, if you can be mastermind, then I can be mastermind. And I make NPCs who are mastermind rogues regularly, because it's so cool. It's just so cool to do. 100%. Level 6. Eagle Totem Barbarian, with observant feet, robe of eyes, only known as the Seer. The guy has an airship still in some iterations of him, so if you want to give him something close to that, you can. Well, I think he's got like a spaceship airship kind of deal, because he's got to go between the stars, and that there's no there are natural ways of doing that actually. Interesting. But if he's got a ship, that would make more sense, because you can't take the natural pathways between worlds with a ship. It's just you. So yeah, let's put that on there as well. He has a modified airship, which has the gate tech necessary for jumping between the stars. This is a cool fucking character. This is a really cool fucking character. He's got his own, he's got a space, he's got his own, like, cobbled space, like, he's got this aircraft that, like, probably predates space technology. We look at our history here, like, the Asmarans had gates between worlds that they used that were, like, stable portals that could just be opened whenever. Those were destroyed with them, and so the only ways between worlds, besides, like, natural pathways, which is a whole thing based on, you know, some older English fiction and like Narnia and stuff like that. You know, trees between worlds and like hidden passages between worlds, and what's that? The Darkest Rising, I think, is one. There are a bunch of them where people find natural ways into other worlds. Sort of what that based on. But then in sort of the year 400, 450. These worlds developed enough technology to create their own, like, portable gates that allowed specific aircraft and spaceships to travel between stars. So yeah, 100%. He's got something like that predates that kind of time, because he would have been alive during the Asmaran era. Actually, when did Aranor takes the throne in minus 1000 EE? So pre that, Solgar's dethroned, Ilara takes the throne. So maybe around, like, yeah, like 1400 EE? So like 2000 years ago? 1300 EE would be 2000 years ago? Yeah. In the year 1300 EE. Cursed, yeah. So he's 2,000 years old would be the context for this. The guy genocided hell with a fleet of airships dropping holy bombs. Oh, so cool! Oh, so cool! One of the furnace worlds. Let's see, fleet of airships dropping holy bombs. Why am I coughing? Annoyance! One sec while I figure out. While I figure out some music stuff. I think we've already gone around this playlist once, but that is all good. Stream one, great. Cool. Good. Were there any holy hand grenades? That's the next question I was gonna ask, actually, Alberta. It was a long time ago. I think if you the story, if notes somewhere, it was hydrogen bombs made from holy water, and it was a 2-year campaign. That makes a huge amount of sense. If it was a 2-year campaign, to get to the point where you got hydrogen bombs of holy water. Okay, so we've got Aramil, who is incredible. We're gonna call it Hunter, Patron, Lock, slash Hunter Ranger, probably? Is that a Ranger subclass? Am I making that up? Monster Slayer. That's my bad. 100 cents. Yeah. This is exactly what I was thinking of. Monster Slayer. Not player. Monster Slayer. Monster Player. You can get with the monsters. It's a different, very different kind of campaign. Whew. I love these like side tangent things that we have gone on. It's so much fun. Let's determine an armor class and hit points for this 8-legged deer monster, because we gotta finish that thing. The 8-legged deer. Velixion, here we go. It's a stealth-based character, so I feel like it shouldn't actually matter a huge amount what the armor class is. We're gonna make it just a casual 14 armor class. Hit points, 120. 120 hit points. Speed of 30 feet doesn't make sense to me because it's an 8-legged deer and they have a bigger speed anyway. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's a lot more. So I'm going to say 70 feet. Which, thinking about it, means that they can get in and out of 30-foot spell range in a turn. It makes them very fast, is the point. They're very fast and very stealthy boys. Terrifying. Strength of 14. Dexterity of... call it 18. Let's call it a +4 mod. Con of 12. No need to go overboard. Intelligence of 18. Makes a huge amount of sense. Wisdom can be a little lower. Let's call it a 15, which gives it a +2. And charisma can be quite low, actually. Let's make that an 8 for a -1 modifier. I believe that's correct. I could be wrong. Ended off with our Oath of Conquest Paladin, the ruler of hell. Our artificer is the president of a city-state known as Skullkeep City! Weird exclamation point. That sounds like an awesome campaign, Courier's Agency. That sounds like a huge amount of fun. And what a place to end with all these people in like high positions of authority and power. That is, when you get to those high levels, that's exactly the kind of thing that you want. Check out Kingdoms in Warfare if you haven't already, by MCDM Productions. They have like a domains section for like running factions or being a part of a faction, which is very interesting, and I really enjoy it, actually. Conceptually, I'm thinking about integrating into the next sort of major campaign that I run. MCDM, Kingdoms in Warfare, I believe is what it's called. Yeah. I like a lot of their stuff, actually. I'm integrating the races from one of their Arcadia things into one of the worlds that I've made, and yeah, it's very, very cool. But, no, that's an awesome campaign. How many people were in that campaign? Was it a full 6-player, or was it just the 3 of you in that one? While you do that. Well, I mean, obviously, stealth. So if they ever have to make a stealth roll, we're going to say they get a +8, right? This is feeling like a challenge rating, like, 8 monster. Does that feel right? It could be. Because it's probably not going to do a huge amount of damage, question mark? I don't actually know what challenge rating to put on things. Like, I actually just don't know. We're just going to eliminate the challenge rating thing. We're just going to eliminate it entirely. Languages, What languages should this thing have? It's a monster. Maybe it speaks Druidic. That would be terrifying, right? Druidic in like a dark way. Crazy. And like maybe there are certain 8-legged deer creatures that have magic, and there's like a base one, and then there's like a magic one. Doesn't bear thinking about. Don't like that at all. Saving throws. We're gonna say it's got proficiency in dexterity saving throws. It's gonna have +8, and in intel. Intelligence. +8 as well. Proficiency, stealth, and let's say perception. It's gonna have a plus. With the +2 instead of the +4 should be a +6, right? Yeah, and the passive perception of 10 + 6 is 16. Okay, the last thing we need to do to make this creature a thing. We don't need 10 of the first stuff or 10 of the second stuff. We just need actions from like monsters that exist. Is there like a gore feature from any monsters? I'm gonna grab a monster manual actually. And to see if there's like a tusks or an antlers feature from any like monsters that already exist in here. Ultra Tiger Swarm. Rhinoceros, Reef Shark, Rhinoceros. Yes, this is exactly what I was looking for. Rhinoceros has what we want. Rhinoceros 5E. Large beast unaligned. La. Ooh, we're just taking all of that. We're taking that whole bit. That's what we're doing. We can format, clear formatting, century +2. And then we can take the charge section and put it over here. Because I like it. Charge. Boop. If this creature moves at least 20 feet towards the target and then hits it with a gore attack on the same turn, the target takes an extra 9 2d8 bludgeoning damage. The target is a creature. It must succeed on its AC 15 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Sounds fine. We'll keep that exactly the way it is. Oh. And the actions it can do is gore. You'll have an attack +7 to hit. We'll make it +8 to hit. Reach of because of the antlers, it's gonna be 10 feet. Making even no, let's make it 5 feet. Make it 5 feet. That's too unfair. Hit 2d8 +5. We're gonna make it piercing damage. Piercing damage. An extra piercing damage, yeah. So it can deal, in theory, if it charges every turn, it can deal 4d8 +5 piercing damage. What an interesting creature this is. But give it only one attack. And like that. So, this is the first stat block that we've made for any monster on Building Worlds. For D&D 5e, if you would like to use the 8-legged deer, go for it. It's a mangled together version of a bunch of other creatures, and it's not balanced in any way, and I'm not sure exactly where this would fall in terms of challenge rating. It doesn't feel like it's actually that hard to kill outside of its like natural environment, but in its natural environment might be very, very tricky to deal with. I don't know how to rate creatures like this. Seems more like annoying than anything else, honestly, because if you're at a level where you're dealing with this, you probably have enough hit points to take a few of those strikes. Or does it have... Oh, no. Not charge. What if it has sneak attack? Oh, no. Oh. Oh, we're doing something bad, guys. Oh, no. What is the actual wording on the sneak attack for the rogue? We're gonna find out. Sneak attack. Once per turn. With an attack, if you have advantage on the attack roll. That's the line that we want to keep. We're gonna sneak over to this. This creature can deal an extra. We're not... And it's been dealing in d8s, so let's keep it in d8s for ease. But let's make it deadly. Let's make this creature a real pain in the butt to deal with. That makes me happy. Creature deals an extra 48 damage to one creature. It hits with an attack if it has advantage on the attack roll, which means this thing's incentivized to hide, strike, and hide again. What a creature. What a creature. We're gonna say it can't hide as a bonus action. It can just get away from you, and if you don't have dark vision, you can't see the damn thing, which means it has stealth. We have made a deadly, dangerous, terrifying creature that I want to put immediately into a game. So, someone out there, I'm gonna run a game at some point, and this is gonna hurt you. There's gonna be just an 8-legged deer with horrifying antlers that charges out of you, out of the darkness, and deals 8d8 plus 5 damage on a sneak attack charge. We're done. We're done with that. We're going back to world building. Let's go over and let's look at the thing. Courier's Agency. Okay, so the Earth is a cyberpunk type place. Fantastic. And Hell is a diesel punk. That's such a cool idea. Your DM's fucking brilliant. So, like all good stories, it ended in an environmental message. Well, a lot of good stories do end in an environmental message, and we do need more of that, even more so than we already have. So fantastic. That's really, really good. I ran a campaign with my cousins on a world called Madazion, which was originally based off of Mad Max, and the enemies were these like fractal remnant AI that began like using cybernetics and advanced technology to terraform the planet and make it uninhabitable for a lot of the people who live there, and hence the Mad Max style of the world, that all the water was being taken, and it was very, very cool. The players, my cousins were chaotic evil players, and they decided they were going to take over the world. Like, they wanted to kill these enemies so that they could take over their operation. And like, I think the thing they literally said at the end of the campaign was just like, yeah, we're the bad guys, but we're like the better bad guys than these guys were. And that's what they like said to people to get them on board, with them becoming the totalitarian dictators of this world. Madazion's a great world, and I did a lot of world building on it just in my own time. It was one of the things that inspired me to do this publicly. So, thank you, cousins. Ow, nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. So. Oh, wow. Chocolate, it's really good. Something to keep me going. We have monsters. with a basic idea of biomes and how deadly life is here. So, the next question. What races could live in this environment and survive? What kind of people can live in this environment and survive? Who would come here? And why would they come here? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, the native races of this world, I think a lot of them are like a more of the monstrous race type subsection of D&D. Because I think a purely just intelligent race maybe wouldn't even have developed here. Like, how would they have survived evolutionarily long enough to continue here? You know what I'm saying? But tool users would definitely live. They just have more natural defenses than sort of an average intelligent species that you would find in a lot of these places. So we get this idea. Look at the monstrous races: the bugbear, centaur, goblin, grung, hobgoblin, kobold. Lizard folk begins to get at what we're looking for. So maybe on day side, maybe there are lizard folk. Maybe there are. Let's give that. Let's see how we feel about that. Lizard folk. Okay. Good. Let's look at maybe there are creatures who live sort of more by the sky. Maybe. Oh, you know, Amonkhet does have, as Amonkhet's a Magic the Gathering world that is covered in a desert, and creatures from that are the Aven, who sort of have like sort of winged humanoids with an ibis head and or a hawk head. I think that Aven could probably be a native race on the day side of this world. Aven Mind Sensor is a terrible card to play against in Magic the Gathering. I have trouble. I think we've got to have Loxodon on this world. I just do. I just feel that there should be Loxodons here. You know what I'm saying? I feel like elephants, any creature that can like hold water in its body for any amount of time, would be a fun race to live here. So I think Loxodon, for sure. And so, and was it Velixion was mentioning sort of like monkey, like baboons, like already pregnant baboons. But I know that Hadozee are a race in D&D that aren't used very often. For those who don't know, Hadozees are people with simian features that long ago allowed to live in the tall trees of their home world. Blah, 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 blah. The hunted by large natural predators, survived in this hostile environment. They developed an instinctual sense of community. So, intelligent life that works together against being hunted by predators is an interesting idea. Not necessarily climbing in tall trees per se, although maybe there are tall trees, but nevertheless using long simian features, using long arms and hands, dexterous feet, can glide. Yeah, I think there's a place for Hadozee potentially to live here. Maybe not here. Maybe not. It's a question. Because I don't think that any life is tall enough to support them here. Maybe not then. We'll leave that alone for now. Look at this. I mean, it's tempting to go for like cat people, right? There have to be cat people. This would be a fun place to have. Well, I think Tabaxi are a shoo-in for this world, not only because I've had a player say they're from Seka. I've had multiple. I've had a player play Tabaxi and like I've put them on Sekahashis, so Tabaxi are shoo-in. But also because Tabaxi are like naturally fast animals, and so they can outrun a lot of stuff. I feel like that is a good natural defense. But I think there are going to have to be things about each of these races, whether it be magic or extra natural abilities or the way that they train themselves that allow them to survive here beyond their usual counterparts. I think that native races to Sekahashis are going to be harder people than on most worlds because of the nature of survival here. And I've just seen this. GIF are hippopotamus people with blunderbusses who are mercenaries who go around the world, and I love them. They're tall, broad-shouldered folk with hippo-like features. Half of them say it with a hard G, half of them say it with a small, soft G. That I did not. I had no idea they had put. They'd made a joke about GIFs and GIFs with the GIF, but that's a. I say it with a hard G. Come at me. I think it makes a huge amount of sense for GIF to originate on Sekahashis, because hippopotamuses are terrifying. GIF are now like the terror, or not like, or one of the most reliable mercenary bands in, I think, the Anaran Assembly, which is the collection of worlds to which Sekahashis belongs. I think that GIF are the ones that like took the best to traveling the stars. Absolutely brutal and fun. There's a temptation to put Fire Genasi here. I don't think that's what we're gonna do. Ooh, what is a Verdin? I don't think I've seen that before. Verdin owe their existence to chaos, descendants of goblins and hobgoblins, transformed by the shadow of that which endures. They are the newest race to Faerun. I have no idea. No idea what that is. We're not going to touch that for now. Now, Dhampir are interesting because they could exist in the cold, right? Because their heartbeat is already super slow. That's an idea. Poised between worlds of living and the dead, Dhampirs retain their grip on life, yet endlessly tested by vicious hungers. Their ties to the undead grant Dhampirs a taste of vampire's deathless prowess in the form of increased speed, dark vision, and life-draining bite. I think that we're going to create a subdivision of Dhampirs that live on Sekahashis. I think that they developed on Nightside. I think they are the dominant race on Nightside, and they're not vampires, although they are akin to vampires. And I think that if they ever interact with vampires, which I have planned, vampires are going to be a race which originates on a world called Onvor, which is a world of perpetual night. So these are sort of like vampire light creatures, which is super fun to create that canon in my head. Anything else that could exist specifically on Nightside? I wonder. And I wonder if maybe a more demonic kind of race could exist on Nightside, going in more into that sort of... It's a test against nature mostly, so demons, maybe not demons, don't need to exist so much on here, but like a bestial types of characters, you know? Not minotaurs, and not Yuan-Ti, because I've got a whole thing with Yuan-Ti anyway. Maybe Nagas? Enormous snake with shoulders, arms, and torso that resemble a human form. Typically hold their heads and torsos off the ground while moving. Lower their bodies using their hands for extra propulsion. Well, Nagas. That's the last one we're gonna do. Naga. Okay, and what are the extra things that each of these guys gets? I wonder. I'm gonna do a quick check on the stream. I'm actually just sorry, guys. I just thought of something and I wanted to check it out. How do I get out of the creator dashboard? There we go. That's what I was looking for. Cool, cool, cool. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Cool, cool, cool. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, that was not muted. That's so you're gonna hear a little echo there as I just went to. Interesting. Alrighty. Blah. Sorry about that. Just took a little moment to check on something. I think newcomers have to include humans because humans go everywhere. But I think that most people don't actually want to stay on Sekahashis. I think that humans come and try to make something out of living here. But this world is so deadly and dangerous that has to be a human-like species that lives here, that lives in the desert. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that in a second as we start to reach the tail end of the stream. A native human-esque race that lives here. I think humans came during the scattering. That's when humans arrived during the scattering nearly 5,000 years ago. They have adapted to suit the environment of Dayside. And look quite distinct from other humans. I think that I think they would see themselves as different to humans of other worlds. And they would see themselves as natives, as well, for sure, I think. The world is so deadly and dangerous that new races do not dare attempt to make a home here. In fact, many of this world's inhabitants jump at the opportunity to get off-world and make a new life for themselves. Let's do that. Makes a huge amount of sense. Okay, Loxodons. I have made a character, NPC character in the past, and it's a, it was an Easter egg for this idea. I've been sitting on this idea for a long time. Little egg I've been warming up. And there's a Loxodon character that I introduced in a side session to a campaign that I've finished up in recent months. And their origin point was an unknown thing at that time, and what the point was that no one knew where this Loxodon was from. Loxodon, elephant people. In case I didn't somehow mention that before, I think that the Loxodon population of Sekahashis have psionics. I think that they are psi warriors, a fighter subclass that gives them telekinesis. I think there are a bunch of telekinetics. Fighter, psi warrior. And just to give an impression of the abilities that a psi warrior has, you have a wellspring of psionic energy within yourself. This energy is represented in your psionic energy dice, etc., etc. The psionic energy. The powers below, you use your psionic energy dice. Protective field. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, use your reaction to expend one psionic die, roll the die, reduce the damage taken by the number rolled, plus your intelligence modifier, as you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. In psionic strike, you propel your weapons with psionic force. Telekinetic movement, you can move an object or a creature with your mind. Side-powered leap, telekinetic thrust, guarded mind, bulwark of force, and telekinetic master. These are the sort of abilities of a psi warrior, and I think that these would be naturally incorporated into the society of Loxodons. So we've got telekinetic elephants. I love these guys so much. Telekinetics. Psi warrior subclass abilities. Oh, okay. I don't know why that's like that. So they are telekinetics, which is super fun. Use their natural speed to survive. GIF, I think have like natural, well, like, actually, is there anything else that we know about the GIF or the GIF? Is there anything else that we can draw on? Sure, are they in one of the books? Are they in Volo? And they're in Mordenkainen's. Okay. Let's look at the Forgotten Realms Wiki for a second. Hippopotami. Dark Reader Skin with tattoos. Fun. Resistance to magic. Incapable of casting magic spells themselves. Rigid lives of order makes a huge amount of sense. Discipline, community. Yeah, they want to be paid. Smoke powder weapons. World of origin with the original home of the gift is long forgotten. well, now it's remembered. It's Sekahashis. They sold their own planet. Ruthless mercenaries. Fantastic. I just want to know if they're intelligent enough to make their own gunpowder. I think that they must be, so I think there has to be something like a boom plant. I think that we've got to add in our monstrosities that we have to add a plant that uses incendiary. It's got to be incendiary in some way, so like when something bites on it, it blows up. Yeah, I think that's it, and I think it's got to be a dayside thing. Boom plant, we're calling it a plant that responds to kinetic force, i.e., a creature biting down on its stem by exploding. These plants were weaponized by the GIF and incorporated along with gunpowder in later years. Along with gunpowder in later years into their weaponry. So yeah, they weaponized boom plants. To give them an advantage. So everything has stuff. I think that Avon are wizards. I think they've got magic. I think that lizard folk. Ooh, what do we think for lizard folk? Do they bond? I think that lizard folk bond with scorpion dinosaurs. What are they called? What do we call them? Real life dayside. Scorpion raptors. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. With scorpion raptors. Using them as terrifying mounts. So there we start to get like an idea for like what lizard folk society must be like. It's not caring, but it is like bonded with these animals, and you know, and husbandry has always been a thing in cultures where it is at all possible, and it would be incredibly dangerous, but lizard folk would be like the only kind of people who would maybe be able to bond with scorpion raptors. You know, how cool would that be? And you'd have to train it not to like stab you in the back while you're riding it, while it's got its tail on the backside. That's so much fun. Which means that lizard folk might take inspiration from those kind of creatures that they ride and use those like needles for like blow darts and poison implementation and stuff like that. That's kind of a fun idea. Back it all now. Right. I think that of all of the life here, I think the other thing we've got to divide the natives by is dayside and nightside, right? So, if we're gonna go dayside native, nightside native. Lizard folk, Avon, Loxodon, Tabaxi, and Gif all feel like they belong on day side. Nagas and Dhampir feel like they could live on night side. Nagas would be tundra based, right? So not in the deep night area. Nagas utilize fine. Yeah, natural innate magic, so sort of sorceress, or like elves have natural magic. Natural innate magic to survive. And then Dhampir use their feral ferocity and intelligence. As well as strategic. Well, here's the thing: they have power over life and death magic, right? So they're not necessarily as magic. Life/death to live in the deep night areas of Sekahashis. I think that Dhampir would be totally terrifying to Daysiders. I think that probably Daysiders and Nightsiders don't mix very often at all. Like, they might even not know prior to, like, interstellar contact that the other exists, which would be kind of interesting. Hello, Classic Rules. Very wonderful for that you dropped in. Greetings to you. Welcome. We're just talking about the different, like, kind of races that might live on this world. Called Sekahashis, which has a day side and a night side. So I think that humans, I think there are two factions, one on each side of the world. Bringing it to D&D. Well, welcome, my good man. Welcome, welcome. The sort of idea of this particular setting in terms of its relationship to D&D is that it's more of a survival world. That everything is a monster and or is out to kill you in some way, and everything is vying for survival in a very, very difficult world, very, very difficult place to live, and everyone's vying for resources and food and trying to survive. And that's kind of the idea of this world. And so we're kind of discussing different races that could possibly live in such a world. Most of the stream thus far has been devoted to creating monsters that might live here. There was fantastic contribution. There were fantastic contributions from Velixion and the Courier's Agency in regards to what kind of monsters might live here, and from Kieran as well, Crenticle. What kind of plant life might live here. And as well as a character who is a previous PC of Courier's Agency called Aramil, who is a monster hunter, a multiversal monster hunter that we've sort of adapted into this setting, who's out to hunt all of the monsters. I love homebrewing. I love homebrewing so much. I've actually homebrewed a monster on this stream. Let's homebrew enemies. So we there was a nightmare 8-legged deer creature that like stalks the night side of this world, and we created him. And I have no idea what kind of like CR this would be, but it's a terrifying monster with The Ranger's Umbral sight sort of modified. We've got a Rogue's fancy footwork that's been modified. The charge thing from a lot of animals, and sneak attack from rogues as well. But in terms of homebrew, I absolutely adore homebrew. What's your homebrew race called? I actually have a file on here somewhere. Beats homebrew, races homebrew. So I've got a few on here. I've got a race called Dreltar, which is one of my all-time favorite things that I've made. I've got the Grecial, which is a new one that I made for a specific thing. The Tig. Can't wait to explore the Tig more. Arogiri. There's sort of an Arctic Goliath-esque race. Oh, Goliaths would be perfect in this world. Ooh! We're gonna put Goliaths in this world as well. Totally slipped my mind that Goliaths would suit. But we're gonna go... the last race on Nightside are Goliaths. And I'm going to say they live on top of the snowy wastes. Rarely entering the dangerous caverns of Nightside. Here we go. It is a Grimalkin from Monster Hunter. We've actually been making Monster Hunter references throughout this stream. The oh, I can't remember its name now, but the lamprey, the double-headed like lamprey wyvern from Monster Hunter is an inspiration for one of the monsters in this. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a huge inspiration for this whole thing. Template is from Runesmith's Stibble's Codex of Companions, which first came from Monster Hunter. I follow Runesmith on YouTube. I don't have Stibble's Codex of Companions, but I'm sure it's fantastic. That's so cool. They get +2 in Dex and 1 in a stat of your choice. I think it's always good to give choice for races. Like, most of the time, giving choice is always a good thing. And the optional Tasha's rule where you can like switch that around if your character idea doesn't match the typical is good. It's long overdue. 60-foot dark vision. Arms attacks do slashing damage. Fantastic. Monster Hunter is poggers. What does poggers mean, I wonder? Define poggers. Excitement, joy, or hype. Awesome! Yes, Monster Hunter is poggers. Giganox! Thank you so much. That's exactly the one. It looks like a leech. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was talking about, the Giganox. I played the few of them that are on 3DS. I played, what was it, Generations? And Monster Hunter 4, I think were the ones that I played. I know I should play World, and I should play and Rise as well. I just don't have... I don't have the time, man. I would love to, though. They're super fun. Jurassic World. POV. Point of view. Alright. I don't know why that's capitalized, but fair enough. And yeah, Giganox is absolutely terrifying. My favorite monster in the series will probably give you extreme PTSD. Yayan Garuga. I feel like I've heard that before. But we gotta see what a Yayan Garuga is. Oh! That's a terrifying wyvern thing. Cool. That's, seems terrifying. It has a flame sac. Okay, so it breathes fire, and it's got a poison tail, and... Oh. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. Yayan Garuga. is a large monster. Short-tempered bird wyvern marked by its hard black scales and impressive mane. Strikes with a distinctive beak. Interesting. The armor looks pretty sick, actually. Yayan Garuga. That's a great monster. This monster is the bane to many a hunter. Yeah. Oh, I'm having a hard time remembering any of their names, but yeah, there are plenty of monsters that are just terrifying and really difficult to fight. Diabolos, I believe, is one I had a tricky time with originally. The Lagiacrus back in the ones where you had underwater combat. You remember that? Fighting a Lagiacrus underwater was a pain in the butt. And what's the one? It's a classic Monster Hunter. Is it Don Juan? What's the one I'm thinking of? No, Devil Joe. That's what it is. Yes, this pickle dinosaur, the Devil Joe, is one of the most terrifying things I've ever fought. And I didn't think it could get scarier, and then, like, the black smoke lightning starts coming out of its back like this. And I was like, okay, I don't need this in my life. It's this thing? Yeah, don't need it. Totally terrifying. The Angry Pickle! Yes, it is! Angry Pickle Dinosaur! That's exactly what it is. Pickle Rickosaurus Rex! Thank you, Jurassic Rules! You are amazing! Actually, let me see if I can get some, Monster Hunter soundtrack in here. Monster Hunter OST. Let's go with World OST. Monster Hunter World: The Complete Experience. Hey, let's throw that on there and see. Let's see how that sounds. Okay. What's the next one? Yeah, let's put a Monster Hunter World soundtrack on there for a bit. Cool beats. What have you said since? Uragon is Devil Joe's Brute Wyvern partner, and Uragon is Jay Leno. Uragon Monster Hunter. Yes! Yes! Uragons are cool. Uragons are very, very fun. I like them a lot. Wyvern partner is Jay Leno. Proof of a Hero is good. I don't know what Proof of a Hero is. Oh, I see. Proof of a Hero extended. Yeah, maybe we can throw that on there. Let's do that. I'll listen to that with you. See what this is. Oh, it's this one. Yeah, I have heard this one before. It's fun. In any case, yes, Goliaths. Dodogama? Alright, I will look at Dodogama and then I'll get back to world building this this setting. Let's look at Dodogama. What? What is this creature? Look at this thing. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, num num num. That is so cute. Oh, people really love this monster, I can tell. That is so... A stack of Dodogamas. How totally sweet that is. Oh my. Oh. Sweetie pie. No. I want one. I want a Dodogama. I want a little baby one. I am also digging this music. It absolutely rocks. He's just a big old lizard. Sweetie pie. Okay. Oh yeah, the last thing that I forgot to put on Night Side as well. Saber-toothed tigers, because you gotta have saber-toothed tigers, and mammoths. Mammoths? A mammoth is not a thing. A mammoth is, though. Because mammoths are cool, and you can't do ice planet world stuff without mammoths. Dee-da-da-dum. Dum-da-dum. How do I rate your Greenmilkin homebrew? Let me just switch that off and turn this back on. Because I have to maintain my control over the music, I can just let that soundtrack run. Your homebrew. Let's have a look at Greenmilkin and I'll give you a rating based on my totally non-professional opinion, just as an enthusiast who also enjoys homebrewing stuff. But you say it's Gremlin from Monster Hunter. So actually, let me have a look at what it looks like. What I'm supposed to be comparing it to. Gremlin Monster Hunter. Gremlin Monster Hunter. Probably is what I'm looking for. Oh, they're like the cat. They're little cat people. Oh yeah. Of course. Oh, sweetie pies. Yeah, they're the cat. I thought they were called palicos. That's why I was confused. Maybe palicos are a different species. Oh no, I was underworld palicos. With a Grimwell kind, or maybe a different type of thing. Okay, here we go. Plus 2 decks and one of a side of your choice, I think works extraordinarily well. As I said that before, especially for this particular race. 60 with Dark Vision makes a huge amount of sense if they're based off cats, and there are not strikes to do slashing damage instead of bludgeoning damage, which also makes a huge amount of sense. My question would be, are they like weapons, as in like monk weapons? Do they deal a d4 of damage if slashing damage, or do they just do, pardon me, slashing damage equal to their strength? That would be the question I would ask. Because I believe it's Tabaxi who do unarmed. Let me just have a quick peek, because I'm pretty sure that there's precedent for what you're going for with the Tabaxi race. Cat's Claws. Because of your claws, you have a climbing speed of 20 feet. In addition, your claws are natural weapons, which you can use to make unarmed strikes. If you hit with them, you deal slashing damage equal to 1d4 plus your strength modifier, instead of bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike. So that's my question, would just be, is it similar to this particular ability right here? But it sounds like it's a similar thing, and would totally, yeah, would absolutely work. I think it's a fantastic idea. Gone, Chunky, Dun meets rocks. What do we rate Grimalkin homebrew? I think your Grimalkin is your homebrew is fantastic. Yeah, yeah, similar to Tabaxi. I think it's fantastic. I think that you can, I think you can even afford to give them an extra ability or two. In my opinion, I think everything you've done is like totally on flavor and works extraordinarily well. But like much like the Tabaxi has their like feline agility thing that allows them to do their burst of speed, or turtles have like an increase in AC, or different races have like increases, give you proficiency in certain things. Like Tabaxi have Cat's Talent, which gives you proficiency in perception and stealth. So it's an incredibly powerful race. I think that Grimalkin could have a couple of additional features actually, and it wouldn't break them. It wouldn't make them overpowered. And I don't know whether Grimalkin are the same as Palicos, or whether they are the same beasts that do the cooking that is so famous in Monster Hunter. That these creatures do cooking, but it might be a fun little feature to give them the equivalent of like the chef feature from Tasha's. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want images, I just want chef. Yes. Cooks utensils if you don't already have it. As part of a short rest, you can cook special food provided you have ingredients and cooks utensils on hand. You can prepare enough of this food for a number of creatures equal to 4 plus your proficiency bonus at the end of the short rest. A creature who eats this food spends 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points, gets an extra 1d8 hit points. With 1 hour work, or when you finish a long rest, you can cook a number of treats equal to your proficiency bonus. These special treats last 8 hours after being made. Creature can use a bonus action to eat one of these treats to gain temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. So, you feel like they'd be really good at monster hunting and, like you said, cooking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, like, in my opinion, I think you could probably afford to give them proficiency in maybe 2 skills or tools. Maybe cooks utensils, because that's very flavorful for Monster Hunter. And you could probably give them proficiency in survival as well, because that has a lot to do with tracking and survival or investigation, maybe. Like, whatever your DM thinks is probably the best thing for tracking animals might be the best thing for cats. The other thing you could do is give them, like, keen senses, perhaps, and, like, their sense of smell is incredibly advanced, so you have advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. Kind of like precedent in monsters, in the monster manual, for example, or, you know, even blink dogs and stuff like that have keen senses. So you could have, like, keen senses and proficiency in cooking utensils, maybe? Those are just suggestions. You don't need to take those on board, but Grimalkin, I think, are fantastic. Are a fantastic sub-race. Or not sub-race, a full homebrew race. Thank you for sharing, Jurassic Rules. And the Jurassic does rule. Hell yeah. Absolutely, absolutely awesome. Insofar as Sekahashis goes, I feel like we've put quite a lot of there are quite a lot of details that have gone in, actually. Not the same kinds of details that not the same kinds of details that we did in the first stream on Rayara. We don't have a lot of factions as of yet, but I feel like the factions are going to be a little bit less pronounced in terms of like nations and stuff like that anyway. And I think that's a different beast than Rayara anyway. It's been so much fun to talk to people. I was not expecting this level of interaction throughout this stream, and it's totally fantastic. I really enjoy it. Thank you. Let me just make this a little a little something or other. Yeah, just a little more, and then just, ooh, we don't want 8, we want 1. We just want to carve little streamlings into the coastline here. To give us something to work with when we come back in terms of settlements, whatever those may be, although I feel like people are going to be mostly nomadic. Maybe some people will have city-esque what have you's. Jurassic rules. Thank you. I have dinner soon. Thank you for the help. Not at all. Sorry, I gotta leave so quick. I followed so I can come back again. What days do you stream? That's fantastic. Go enjoy your dinner. Thank you so much for joining. Please join again. I'm streaming Building Worlds every Tuesday from 7:30 to around 11 GMT. So, English Standard Time in the UK. So, so far it's just a once a week thing, but who knows? Maybe I'll start doing it more often if it goes well. I'm having a great time. I can just say that. Maybe I'll get other people on the stream, actually, and we'll do this thing. But thank you so much. Enjoy your dinner. I'm actually going to bring the stream to a close fairly soon. Anyhow, it's been wonderful to have you. It's been wonderful to have everybody who's been on the stream, actually. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. And we will come back to this. Believe you me. Saving Sekahashis. So whereas a lot of in terms of conflicts, I feel like there are a lot of the conflict on RIR is between the deep and the surface, and the new and the old, technology versus tradition. Sekahashis, on the other hand, is a battle against nature and survival, and almost those epic stories. I feel like it's a resource story when it's on Sekahashis, if you know what I mean. So if there is a wider context, it's that people want resources from this world and have hired people to go onto this crazy, crazy dangerous planet to get them, or people from this world have come out into the wider universe and are extraordinarily dangerous and effective. Something like that. You know what I mean? I think the last little bit I'm going to begin before I end. We're going to start with GIF Mercenaries. I know that's a size too small. There we go. GIF Mercenaries. The GIF were eager to get off-world as soon as the opportunity arose. They maintain their scarcity mindset, however, and are known as misers and charge extraordinary amounts for their services. They earn this, however, by being ruthlessly efficient, having no standard moral compass, and accepting offers from the highest bidder. This means that they will have, or that certain mercenary bands will have taken work both for and against the Naran Assembly and the Tahiri Empire. Felt like I needed to get that out of my system immediately because the GIF are, how do I say, adapting them from the Monster Manual is something that I wanted to do, like put them in context for a really long time. I feel like this works really well from Sekahashis. It kind of like works with what is established with D&D, so that's the hope, is that they work, they fit in this way. And you know, as we continue, some of these will be adapted directly from D&D, and some of them won't. Some of them will be original races and what have you. If I was going to adapt this into a non-D&D setting, I would create differences between the specifically D&D ones. I'd give them new names, make some certain differences between them and what's written here. And yeah. So I would do that extra work, but going the extra mile and making the cultures different already does a huge amount towards getting it ready. But in terms of D&D, suddenly we're ready to go with the GIF mercenaries. And what are some of these other people we can because there are going to be factions on world, but they're mostly just going to be like tribes of people, so it's not going to be so much factions. It's like people who are trying to survive on world, right? So we can almost like start by going down in terms of like nations, or like nations in this case slash tribes, or slash clans. You know what I'm saying? We can almost start there as opposed to like factions, because most of the factions, like, they would have come out into the wider world. The NRSM. Oh, that's not true. Actually, there's a religious thing involved. I said earlier, you know what, this is the point we're going to end on. I said earlier that there had to be humans on world for a specific reason. The reason is that one of the Ismerins, his name was Concord, he was the warrior god, came to this planet. You know what we're going to do? I keep... keep coming back. There should be a mythos section. Concord came to this world, gave up his immortality so that he could experience a good fight again because he was too strong. It's One Punch Man inspired. Sue me. And had a family and had 3 daughters, and they reclaimed his godly power between the 3 of them, and sort of interacted with, rather than joined, the Ismeran society. Eventually they also gave up their powers and died, but their life's work was making the world more inhabitable, and the idea I wanted to, and it's like an incorporation, not mythos, mythology. I want an incorporation of them and their historical role on this planet with the mythology of this world. So, what we're going to do is we're going to end there. Next time, we're going to come back. We're going to do the mythology. We're going to do in the beginning. We're going to talk about Konkor and his daughters and how all of that history feeds into the people of this world. We're going to go to the current world state. We're going to add in religious factions. We are going to talk about nations and cities and more characters that would fit in this setting or characters that would have originated from this setting. And with that, we basically bring this to a close. I want to thank every single person who jumped on and chatted with me. This was so much fun. I'm always blown away by the creativity on display and the generosity of people with their ideas and then wanting to incorporate them into this setting in this world. Anybody who was, please, you are so completely welcome back. I will be doing this again next week, same time, 7:30 to 11 GMT on Tuesday. Thank you so much, and take a very good care. We'll see you next time.